The House has passed a continuing resolution that would keep the government up and running through December 11th. The Senate has until Wednesday evening to agree on that CR or another one before the end of the fiscal year. Jessica Klement is Staff Vice President of Policy and Programs for the National Active and Retired Federal Employees Association. Jesse, welcome back. I'd say here we go again if it wasn't so trite, but we're in the same situation we seem to bump up against a number of times. Is there anything different about this CR than what we've seen before?
About this CR, there is most certainly not. Of course, there was leading up until House passage because we are in an election year. And of course, I don't have to tell you that we are in a very contentious election year. So there was some, discussion leading up to it, what it was going to include. Do you roll coronavirus relief of some kind into it? We are, of course, past that now with House passage of the CR.
What do we know sitting here on Monday about what the Senate might do before Wednesday?
So both chambers are out today for the Jewish holiday. They come back tomorrow. It is anticipated that the Senate will hold a cloture vote tomorrow to move forward with the House version of the CR. One report I read this morning said that the Senate could pass the CR as early as tomorrow night, although I think Wednesday is probably more likely.
As long as it gets to the president's desk and he signs it before 11:59 Wednesday night, we're fine, right?
I mean, we're fine. Federal agencies are not because they've been operating on continuing resolutions for, decades. But yes, as long as the president signs it, federal employees can go to work on Thursday.
And that's at this point, the bar is very low, Jesse. That's all that matters is, are people going to show up for work on Thursday? That's all I mean by fine.
We have literally accepted that our elected leaders can continue to kick the can down the road on their most basic of constitutionally mandated duties to fund the federal government. I think we're all in a situation where we just accept that CRs are the way we do business and hope that agencies get their full funding by April.
And
is it February? Because it's
no,
Groundhog Day,
it's
right?
not.
Are we
unfortunately,
in
it's still September. It's not February yet. But that's really all I'm getting at is there anything here that gives anybody on the Hill reason to think something could happen in the Senate in the next 2 days that we wouldn't see a bill on the president's desk?
So far, as of today, as of this morning, as I was researching our topics for discussion, no, there's nothing that leads us to believe that there will be a problem passing this in the Senate. However, 2 days in legislative terms is a lifetime to others. So, I'm not going to say all is well on the Hill because I don't want to predict anything in 2020 anymore.
All that does is demonstrate the reason that we continue to have you on as a guest, because you have been a veteran of what goes on there and know not to try to use a crystal ball about anything to do with Congress. What else is on the horizon? You've mentioned the stimulus that is and isn't happening given whatever day we decide to look at things. What else is on the landscape right now that federal employees should be thinking about?
Just going back to that stimulus, a COVID relief package of some kind, Pelosi has indicated that the House may do something along those lines this week. Of course, the House passed the HEROES Act months ago at this point in time. I'm sorry, days are all blending, I'm guessing, for me and everybody else. So the House has already passed a coronavirus relief bill that the Senate will not take up, looking to maybe pass a smaller one. We also have that pesky payroll tax deferral I know folks on your show have talked about, so I won't belabor it, but I will just encourage federal employees and military personnel as well who are subject to that to stock that money away, because there is no guarantee that that loan is going to be forgiven.
Are you hearing from NARFE members about that, Jesse?
We are, and it's not obviously going to impact every federal employee. There are income limits to it. What has me more concerned are folks who may not even know it exists, who got their first paycheck last week and are like, oh, great, I have some extra money. Wonder why that happened. And they just aren't aware of it. I'm particularly concerned about that for military personnel, particularly in lower ranks who tend to live paycheck to paycheck and may not have the luxury of setting that money aside. come January, when all of a sudden, unless Congress acts, 12.4% is going to be withheld from their paychecks. So it's a very tenuous situation, and I'm just using this opportunity to remind folks that this isn't free money. Right now, this is a deferral that will have to be paid back unless Congress takes action to reverse that.
What, based on your experience on the Hill, I know I just said you don't make predictions, and now I'm going to ask you to make a prediction. What is the likelihood of that happening? Does it not seem likely to you that Congress would have mercy on these folks who are in lower income brackets and say you don't have to pay the money back in January?
So I can tell you this as of right now, talking to you on September 28th, right? I bring this up often in conversations with members of Congress, and as best I can tell, this is not even a part of the discussion. In relief packages, it definitely wasn't for the CR. This situation, because so many employers aren't taking advantage of this, when it comes to the federal workforce, this is not getting the attention it deserves on the Hill, in my opinion. But we won't see the ramifications of this until January, which would mean if Congress was going to do something about it, it has a good 3 months to make that happen. And we're sitting here having a conversation about federal funding 2 days before the fiscal year ends. So if Congress were to act on this, certainly they're looking at a 3-month time frame in which they can do so.
It doesn't strike me that in their view, time is of the essence. Jesse, thanks very much as always. It's great to see you.
Thanks, Francis. You too.